A French immigration law passed in 2024 brings new language requirements for those applying or renewing a visa in France starting in January 2026.
This video will explain those changes so that you can prepare or figure out if you're exempt.
Maybe. Hi, I'm Raina.
I'm Jason.
We're Baguette Bound. We talk about moving, adjusting, and enjoying life in France.
So we're talking about language requirements today, but we want to make sure we're all on the same page with what those mean. So you're going to see language levels, A1, A2, B1, B2. These refer to the common European framework of reference for language competency.
So we'll start out with defining what does A1 beginning French mean? A1 means you can understand colloquial expressions and very simple announcements. Think you can understand a train announcement. You can introduce yourself to others. You can answer simple questions about your age, your language, your place of residence. You know, this is that je m'appelle Raina. A2, that's a more advanced beginner. So you can understand isolated sentences and frequent expressions. You know, think at the market when they say c'est tout, like, is that all? You can carry on a simple conversation or, on familiar topics like your work or your friends, your passions. So these would mean you kind of generally feel comfortable interacting in like those really familiar situations that you've done multiple times or things that you've spoken about before.
So levels B1. B1 is you can understand main points when the language is standard and produce really simple, coherent speech on topics that are familiar to you. You can give your point of view and give brief, simple explanations. You could maybe have a really simple argument over your favorite French cheese.
This is important.
C'est camembert. Toujours camembert. B2. Level B2 is you understand the gist of much more complex text and communicate with spontaneity and ease. You can express an opinion on, a variety of topical subjects and explain the advantages or disadvantages. You can talk about past events and report what someone else has said about them.
I told Jason, I feel like I'll know I'm at B2 French when I can do a better job explaining the American health insurance system to French people at a dinner party, because this is what we get asked about every single time. And right now, I don't have enough vocabulary for that.
It's hard to explain in English for sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so you can prove that you've achieved these levels by taking the DELF or the TCF tests. While either of these types of tests are recognized in France, the DELF or DALF test, these results are good for life, while the TCF or TCR results are only good for 2 years. You can take these tests in France or in the United States before you arrive. Your local Alliance Française is a really good resource to find testing opportunities.
All right, so now that you have a frame of reference for what these language levels mean, we're going to go through each of the different visas and situations, and we're going to talk about what level languages are required when and how. One of the most popular visas for Americans who are still working age and immigrating to France independently is the Professions Liberales Entrepreneur Visa. That's my visa. This is the visa that allows you to move your current U.S. business to France or start a business in France. The visa currently requires you to take an A1 level test at immigration shortly after you arrive in France. Currently, if you don't pass this A1 test, you'll be prescribed French language classes. As long as you attend these classes faithfully, this meets the requirement, and you can qualify for a multi-year card when you renew the first time, assuming everything else is in order. What's changing for this visa in 2026 is the level that's required is now moving up to A2, so that's an advanced beginner, and you must achieve this level to receive a multi-year renewal. Exactly how this process is going to work is kind of yet to be determined. But if you are panicking right now thinking, oh my gosh, are they going to throw me out now if I don't have my A2 DELF certificate when I ask for my renewal? No. Again, this just means if you haven't achieved that A2 level, you are likely to only get a 1-year renewal rather than a 4-year renewal, even if that were possible because you've met all the other requirements for your visa type.
This same A2 level will be required for anyone who immigrates to France and is required to sign a contrat d'intégration républicaine. So if that includes employees and family members who are also coming over on a family regroupment visa. So for all of these visas that have to sign the CIR contract, what happens if you don't pass A2 in that first year? This is okay. Without the A2 level, you will still be able to renew up to 3 times, but only for 1 year each time. But that is the limit. After that third single-year renewal, you must have at least A2 French to stay in France long-term. So you have time, but you do have to get to A2 eventually.
Yeah. Next up is the student visa. The language requirements for students isn't attached to the visa itself, but to the institution you're being admitted to. So most French universities are going to require a B2 level of French. However, if you're going to be attending an English-speaking university like the American University in Paris, you don't have to worry about this. It's actually your English level you're going to have to prove.
And at last, the ever-popular long-stay visitor visa. This is a renewable 1-year visa and the closest thing that France has to a retirement visa.
We know this is the one you guys were waiting for.
Yeah. This visa has no language requirement, and that isn't changing in 2026. There's no test to take after you arrive. There's no test to take for that single-year renewal. But,
Caveat.
there's always a but, if you do want to apply for a multi-year residency card in the future, and often you'll hear this card called the 10-year card, you are going to need B1 level French to get that renewal. Currently, this 10-year card renewal is set at level A2. But in 2026, applicants for the 10-year residency card will need to show they have at least B1 level French. But wait, there is an exemption.
Don't panic yet.
There is an exemption for these language requirements. If you're older than 65, or if you have a disability that won't allow you to take these tests, you can be exempt from this requirement.
So things are changing, but not knowing French is not going to prevent you from getting your initial visa. This is one of the things that we really want you to take away here. I actually think the way France structured this is beautiful because it allows you to arrive in France, to get your visa, to enjoy the culture, the food, the amazing French people. And even like if you only know bonjour when you show up, it's okay. And then the way the requirements are changing is if you are saying, I want to stay here long term, I want to become a part of French society, this is going to be my home. For that, they're like, okay, you are going to need at least a reasonable level of French for you to be granted that. So even then, you're still given time to learn.
Yeah, so if you already know that you want to stay in France long term, you can start working on your French right now.
No time like the present.
Absolutely. If you're wondering what level you are, we found some really great resources that we've linked down in the description. If you are feeling ready to apply for your French visa, we can support you. Check out our services at our website, baguettebound.com.
Thanks for watching.
A bientôt.